Hey, Bear Creek. This is Pastor Brooke, and I have a fantastic guest with me today. We have Jim here, Jim Russell, and some of you may know Jim. He's a member of our church, or was for a while, and through some critical parts of his life, Jim and Karen. And I've got him here today because I'm very interested. He's writing a book and a blog about some of his experiences, and so I want to talk to him about the why and what he's doing. And so I'm very excited about this. So first of all, hi, Jim. How are you?
Hi, Brooke. I think you just called me fantastic or something like that. That was nice. That's a great way to start. I hope I don't let you down.
All right. Well, I don't think you will. So, you have talked to me before about doing some writing about your experiences. And first I thought it was going to be more about your experiences with Karen and, her life and your experience in her last year or two of her life. But you've decided now to write a book that's broader than that. So tell us a little bit about what that's all about.
Well, the idea of writing a book started several years ago when we realized that our daughter Lynne had early onset Alzheimer's and young onset Alzheimer's, which was diagnosed in 2017 when she was about 52. And so we wanted to tell that story about her because she was an inspiration to all of us. Mm-hmm. And then as that began to develop, Karen got pancreatic cancer stage 4 last year and so then we went through that and lost her in September. Mm-hmm. And now I'm living by myself as a widower and across from her. And in the process of reading about dementia and what's going on, what really happened to me is the patriarch in the family, and one with the brother or the sister and the grandkids and everything else and boys. And I really began to realize that the most important thing was to keep the family together. So my priority became not caring for Lynne because everybody was working on that, but was to make sure that the focus of the family kept all of us in a loving relationship and caring for each other because all of us needed care.
And Jim, I've met your family. You have some fantastic people in your family, but some very strong personalities. And so I'm guessing you have had some pretty interesting conversations about this.
Well, we're talking about the very roots of the love that we have for each other and, our concerns about Karen's health, concerns about the best way to take care of Lynne. And with a lot of professional, opinionated people, we got into some real deep disagreements. Mm-hmm. But we used all the technique we taught ourselves and we taught others about how to resolve conflicts, how to talk to each other, how to share, how to pray, how to use our faith to work through those things and come out on the other side with acceptance and trust in each other. Mm-hmm. And I think for the most part, I can say that our family is still together. I think we're probably stronger than we were before. I think we're more united than we were before. And we're kind of on a cruise control as we get to the end of Lynne's dementia stages.
Mm-hmm. And so just to go back, I mean, a lot of people, when they have a relative who's got dementia, there's some embarrassment. There's a kind of a sense of hiding that. Our pain sometimes we don't want to share with others. What makes you want to do that, Jim? To share that pain? What's your why?
Well, the why is I believe we need to share what's going on with us. And Lynne was absolutely in agreement with that from the very beginning, that she wanted to tell her story. Mm-hmm. And yet, even as you dig into it a little bit deeper, you find out that all the things going on, she was hiding her dementia for a number of reasons. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't share with us. And then she finally came to the point where her professional performance was such that she was diagnosed. Mm-hmm. She had the dementia, she knew it, she admitted it, she said, I can't hide it anymore. And so what we did was she shared it out, and then we realized how much more we had to go through from a distance. So everybody has kind of been of the feeling. And it happened with Caring Bridge too, because Caring Bridge was the way we shared Karen's experience with her terminal stage 4 cancer. She said from the beginning, I'm going to share every bit of this so people know what I'm going through.
Mhm.
And she did that on the basis of her long-term experience with hospice care. And she
Mhm.
said, we've got to share with people what goes on, and to realize that death is a passage. And let's share what that passage is so everybody can know. And so
That
we
was,
have Karen's story on Caring Bridge.
yeah, that was so powerful too. I mean, I just felt like because of that caring bridge, and I think a lot because of Karen's attitude towards death, that it was a journey, that it was, and that it was a journey worth sharing. You've certainly helped a lot of people through this. I mean, have you learned from people that have read about it? I mean, what kind of response have you had?
Well, we had thousands of views on the Caring Bridge. And a number of people have told Karen that you have changed my life and the way I'm going to handle death when it comes towards me, which of course was her hope that people would get out of her experience with it. And Lynne is providing the same kind of inspiration to us about how to deal with the dementia. And I am constantly talking with people about how to get in touch with Lynne, what's important to her, and answer their questions. Because there's a fear, there's a reluctance to call, and I don't know what to say. And oh, I can't wait till the quarantine is over, then I could come visit her. Well, you could call her right now, and yet you call her, and when you have to hang up, she starts to cry. Well, that's hard. It's hard for both of us,
Right.
but there's reasons for that, and it's because of the stage she's in. But it's all part of this, as you said, I think a little earlier, Brooke, when we were talking. Alzheimer's is just an accelerated decline that all of us are going to have to face.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite a remarkable journey. I love the way your attitude towards this, because I think, boy, let me tell you, if you can figure out a way to bring the family along on this, it's a way to strengthen your family. So you told me that one of the things earlier, that one of the things about trying to get into this book is there's not a lot of resources about family experience. There's a lot of resources about maybe a spouse's experience or a single person taking care of someone else's experience. But as far as trying to gather the whole family around this and try to look at it from that perspective, there's not a lot of resources. And so I wanted to ask you, what maybe could you give me one or two things you've learned in trying to do this, kind of bring the family in? What are one or two things you've learned from this?
Well, at every point, you have to be sensitive. I had to be sensitive to where there were fissures in the family, where people weren't being supported, people were not being trusted, and so I had to see that the people in the family, Lynn's ex-husband, my son, my daughter, who were in real disagreement about some of the ways that we were treating, that we needed to be real open with that, and I could be a conduit to bring that sharing together. We contacted the Alzheimer's organization, and they came out and actually did not an intervention so much to say, but just the meeting with all of Lynn's family, her boys, her ex-husband, and me, and brother and sister, and Karen, to be kind of an arbitrator, a mediator. Let's talk about what we're doing. Where do we need to go? Things are not where they can continue. And once we could get agreement that everybody agreed that what was working at the present time was not really working well and needed to be improved. Sure. So, and so it was my job. I considered it my job to be the one who made sure that we had to trust each other about what people were saying. And if I heard people a little reluctant to trust somebody else's word, to kind of make sure that we would communicate with each other so that everybody could recognize we could work it out. And then make the decisions when I had to.
Mm-hmm. I think it's usually gone the other way, Jim. The patriarch just makes the decisions and let everybody deal with the aftermath. It sounds like you're trying to get the crew together to listen to them and get them on the same page. So that's fantastic. You mentioned, Jim, about your faith and how that's been a big part of this. Is there anything you might want to say about what you've learned about your faith through this? Or?
Well, I have over the last 2, 3, 4 years, it just gotten to the point where I have a very disciplined faith commitment. I spend the first 15 minutes of every day doing a breathing exercise and repeating the same prayer over and over and again, which is a long combination of prayers of the Lord's Prayer, the St. Francis of Assisi prayer, the prayer of St. Paul from Thessalonians, and the 19th Psalm, and just repeating it over and over and over and over again, so that then I can go into reading, and then I go into about 30 minutes of reading of, people who've really, you gave me some books that I've read. A Grace, what was it called?
Grace Disguised.
A Grace Disguised was a marvelous book for my faith. And as I've found, as I keep praying, really, really praying, much more than I ever have before, I find out that it is something I have to do daily in order to really get an understanding of how it can make a change in my life. And my commitment with God was that I knew that there were no promises, that I'm not going to ask God for, Karen to get healed. God, give me the strength to know where you want me to go and how you want me to act with what I'm into right now. And I will never blame you or, feel sorry for myself in that process. So just continuing to go back into the promise that God would be with me by my side at all times with that. And so that's what's made extremely important relationship that I have with God. I can't tell you how many times I've been anxious in something, and I say my prayer for the 15th time that month, and I realize, oh, that's what that's about. I'm supposed to forgive him. You got to be kidding.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate for you sharing. And so just for folks, they can access your stuff. You're on Facebook, right?
Yeah, James S. Russell.
Okay.
James S. Russell at Facebook. There's a few James S. Russells, but it's me. And then Lynne E. Russell, L-Y-N-N-E E. Russell. And she's on Facebook. And then I've got a blog called Nevertheless, Dementia, We Persist. And I've got that. And anybody wants to contact me on Facebook or anyway through Lynne or whatever, or through you, I'm willing to talk to them and share what's going on and really get some resources from them and some advice.
You bet. And is that Caring Bridge still open, or is that been closed?
I don't know whether it's still available, but I have the whole Caring Bridge PDF file. I asked them for it, and they downloaded it to me. So if they're willing to go through that, I could probably forward it to them. But I actually think it was there the last time I looked. I don't know whether it's still there.
We'll try to find those links and put them up. But
and that would just be Karen Russell. She just didn't. That was hers.
Just Karen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good. I'm just going to stop the recording. We can talk a little bit more later here.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the interview. Thanks for the talk.
You bet.